Hello, I'm Jeff Gustin.
And I'm Therese Gustin. We're the owners and producers of the Garden Time TV show and magazine. Welcome to our final episode of Garden Time.
For the past 22 years, I've been producing garden shows for TV. The last 17 years have been Garden Time.
Each week we've taken you to great garden events and shared useful gardening plants and information and met some fun plant people. But it's time to step back from the weekly show and monthly magazine. We're semi-retiring to spend more time in our own garden and with our family, but we're not going away yet.
We have the opportunity to step into podcasting, and starting the beginning of July, we're going to be sharing our very first podcast. We'll be able to go into selected topics a little deeper, and you'll hear our personal opinions on garden topics and what we've learned over the years. We may even have a surprise guest or two. Check out gardentime.tv for links and more information.
Finally, we'd like to thank everyone for your support over the years.
We'd also like to thank our sponsors, who've given us the means to bring you this wonderful show. Now enjoy this last episode of Garden Time.
Welcome to the last Garden Time TV show. We know that is very sad news for you all and for us too.
But we are not saying goodbye. We'll be doing a twice-a-month podcast coming up in a week or two. You can always go to the gardentime.tv website or follow us on Facebook for more information and the latest news.
And if you want to tour with us one last time, join us on the Garden Time tour to Holland and Belgium. And if you haven't heard, the testing requirements for travel have disappeared.
But coming up on the show today, we're going to visit with Rosie down at N&M Nursery and talk about hummingbirds and herbs.
We'll also be telling you how to dig and divide daylilies.
And we'll show you the differences between moles and gophers in your garden.
But coming up first, how to design with color in your garden. I love coming to French Prairie Perennials with my friend Rick Naylor because you always have interesting plants. So what do you have for us today?
Well, we got a couple of things that we want to look at today, but one thing I want to say first is that, this is the final episode of Garden Time.
Yep.
And I want to take time to thank Garden Time for everything they've done for the industry over the years. Not just from an educational standpoint, but from a small nursery and garden center standpoint. A lot of independent garden centers are family owned, we're small, we don't have the advertising budget. And they've given us a venue to let people know who we are, what we're all about, and that's a very important thing, so it's going to be sorely missed.
And we love all you guys. It's been so much fun coming to meet with you all these years and just listen about plants and listen to all your songs, and just you and Carrie have just been great supporters of everything, so we appreciate you guys too.
Well, the good news is there's a podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
It's going to be continuing, but that's more about that later.
Okay.
Anyway, what we're going to talk about today are two things. We're going to talk about a Shiraswana maple called Moonrise.
Whoa.
And we carry a lot of specialty maples. This is one of my favorites, not just because of the color. The new growth will flush out red. The old growth will be kind of a combination of orange and almost like Arium, kind of a lime green, chartreuse color, over the summer. But the thing I like about it best is it handles the sun really, really well compared to other Shiraswanums or other Japanese maples. So it's not going to grow very fast. It will get anywhere from 8 to 15 feet, depending on where you have it planted and how much it likes the spot it's in. But so it can get fairly large, but it's a beautiful tree because in the spring it comes out all orange with the new red. Yeah, it's really, really, really vibrant. So great tree to have, particularly if you have a really sunny spot.
Nice, nice.
So,
yeah, really it was striking as soon as we came in today.
Right, yeah, no, I love that tree.
And then look at this, you don't see variegated rhodies too often.
You don't. This is super flimmer. And the great thing about super flimmer is it'll also handle a lot of sun, which a lot of rhodies won't.
Right.
So that's the good part of it. The other part is that it doesn't get as big as your typical rhodie. Super flimmer is only going to get in the 4 to 5 foot range when it's fully grown. The flower, as you can see, is kind of a lavender colored flower, but even when the flower isn't there, you get the variegation and the color all year round that you don't get with other rhodies. So that's why it's one of my favorite rhodies, is because it's got the foliage color and the flower and the size. It fits into a smaller yard really well.
Yeah, and that's really important because there are a lot of smaller yards these days.
Right, yeah. Perfect. Gardens are shrinking for sure.
Yeah.
So the other thing about these two plants is very low maintenance.
Oh,
So
that is
that's-
good. It is. We're all busy people.
Absolutely.
And you know, here at French Prairie Perennials, they have lots of trees and shrubs, but we're going to go over and talk to Carrie about perennials because you have a lot of those too.
That's right.
All right.
Yep, let's
Thank you.
go.
Now I'm with the other part of the team, Carrie Naylor. So Carrie, you have a ton of perennials here. I don't know if we're going to cover them all.
Right. I think what I really want to talk about is design with perennials.
All right.
And the progression of color. You know, a lot of people run out to the garden centers first thing in the season and they buy all the pretty little blooms in April and May. And then in August, they have no color, just a lot of green plants.
Ah, that is true. So how can we help not have that?
Well, what I've done for you today is brought a selection of plants that some I call one-hit wonders. So for instance, this poker plant, it blooms lovely right now, but you know, they're not going to be in bloom in August. So what I recommend when customers design with perennials is to select other plants that have that same color or general color and plant them next to them, because your eye, whether you realize it or not, is going to be searching for yellow in that spot. And when it's done and cut back, you don't have yellow anymore. So I recommend that you purchase other plants that have the yellow general color, and then decide, you know, some tall ones, some medium ones, some short ones, so that you've got also the sequencing of the perennials going on according to size.
And then come August, September, you're going to have something in that space that's beautiful and attractive.
Right.
Oh, that is great.
One plant that I really enjoy that has come out recently is the Echinacea, which a lot of people might say, oh, that's a Rudbeckia. I've had that in my garden for years. It is a combination of Echinacea and Rudbeckia. And what's nice about this is it's a true perennial. It's well behaved. It stays in its spot. Whereas the Rudbeckia that looks very similar to this is something that's more of an annual that goes to seed. People see it come back next year, so they think it's perennial, but it's really not. And the problem with that is it sows kind of everywhere in the garden.
Oh yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Well, I love that concept because here you have some pinks and burgundies, and you go from Gaura to Hebe to what's down in the front.
We have
there?
penstemon down in the front, which, you know, it kind of throws up blossoms. You cut it back, throws up blossoms, cut it back. And so it's a plant with a lot of merit. Hummingbirds love it, but the problem is it's not always in color.
Definitely. And then to the blues, you have different blues and kind of lavenders.
Yeah, so lavenders, you know, is a strong spring plant, and so are lupins. However, they're kind of an early season plant. This campanula blooms all summer long. It's a great ground cover.
Nice. And here you have some texture, which is really cool with grasses. So that's really neat.
And I really like that this Japanese bloodgrass has the reds in it, along with the red perennial lobelia. A lot of people are really surprised that there's such a thing as a perennial lobelia.
Right.
And the red stalks on these in August, September are fantastic. And I love this plant for on the shadier side. It doesn't have to be like covered in shade, but I think it does really nicely in a north-facing spot. And everybody says, wow, what's that plant? You know, I have it planted in front of the store. And that's what sells it. When they see it, it's like, oh yeah, it's a no-brainer. Plus it's a hummingbird plant.
Oh, that is perfect. Well, I think that concept, thank you so much for helping us, because I think design sometimes gets the back seat because we're all excited about plants. So really, I think Carrie has given us some wonderful ideas. Come out to French Prairie Perennials. They have beautiful plants. They have a great gift shop. It's right in downtown Aurora. Thanks so much, Carrie.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Judy,
it.
for coming out.
Since 1982, the Wall has been making local gardens beautiful, naturally. Whether you need a new wall, concrete patio, fire pit, or driveway, the Wall's expert craftsmen can build it. We back up our work with a 5-year warranty, so you'll know it'll last. We use the highest quality materials, including stamped colored concrete, natural stone, and we're the leader in using recycled concrete. Create an outdoor environment you'll enjoy for years, with the help of your friends at The Wall.
Find everything you need for summer at Al's Garden and Home.
Join Garden Time as we hit the road again. In September of 2022, we'll travel to Holland and Belgium. we'll visit the world-famous Aalsmeer flower auction, Flora World, the University Gardens of Ghent, and the Japanese Gardens of The Hague. We'll also visit the once-a-decade Floriade Expo, the World's Fair of Gardening. Enjoy the sights, sounds, and tastes of Ghent, The Hague, and Amsterdam on this wonderful tour. Go to Garden Time Tours for more information, and we'll see you in Europe.
Our gardens are looking so great this time of year, and to keep them away, if you have critters, I'm with Tom Combs, and Bonide has some really great products to help that.
Yes, we do. So the one in my hand is called Repels All. The name kind of says it all, Repels All, right? So talk a little bit about the product. It's all natural ingredients, a mix of 3 different natural ingredients that one will work off of taste, the other off of smell, and the third one off of irritant. And when I say irritant, meaning it'll gently burn the animal's eyes, not to the point where it'll blind them, but just enough to irritate and force them to move out of the area. So remember that tan shoulder, that indicates all natural ingredients. So let's talk about what animals this will repel in the landscape and in the garden. Things like raccoons, porcupine, rabbits, squirrels, crows, other birds. There's 47 animals on this one label.
And then where do we put it? Do we put it right on the plants?
No, you're not going to want to put it on the foliage. So Repels All in a liquid, this is a ready-to-use bottle, also comes in a dry formula, is going to be applied around the perimeter of the raised bed or the vegetable garden, or even in around the landscape, okay? So a perimeter treatment versus on the foliage.
All right. And then what if they're like, they don't even pay attention to that, and they're starting to chomp on my vegetables or my roses? Do you have something for that?
I do, and it isn't just, we've applied this and they just blow through it and keep going. It's always good to do what I call mix it up. So Repels All, and then the one in my hand is Go Away Deer and Rabbit Repellent. So another all-natural deterrent, but this one is capsaicin, it's hot pepper. So this one we could apply right to the foliage of the broccoli, we could put it on our carrots, our cucumbers, up to the day of harvest, because it's just hot pepper, okay? So safe to use. When we go to harvest our fruit, just wash it off, which we naturally do. And it's safe to use.
And then what about reapplying? Should we keep it a certain timing, or how does that work?
A great question. We are in the Pacific Northwest, and Mother Nature likes to do her thing. So the label on Repels All will say up to 2 months between applications. That might be a little bit of a stretch, especially when we're getting some hard downpours. So I would say in the rainy months, maybe every 3 to 4 weeks reapply. And then the Go Away Deer and Rabbit, the capsaicin, definitely reapply maybe every 7 to 10 days.
Okay. And that makes sense, because it's just going to wash off, and you really want to have that protection there while the vegetables are growing.
Right. Growing reminded me of something. We could treat our broccoli, we could treat our lettuce, but they're growing, right? So unless we treat that new growth, we're really not achieving anything.
Right. Oh, really a good tip for that.
Yep.
So we really want to be able to harvest our vegetables and enjoy all of our flowers and our landscape plants. So please go to gardentime.tv. You can click over to the Bonide website and find out where you can get these good products for your garden this year. Thanks so much, Tom.
Yep.
I'm at Garden Gallery Ironworks in Hubbard, and they are known for their beautiful metalwork. They make trellises and arbors and patio furniture. They even have garden art for outside and beautiful gifts for inside your home. And a few weeks ago, they were so generous to give a $200 gift card for a contest to honor the ending of the Garden Time show. Well, I have the winner of the contest. It is Carol A. And Carol, you will be receiving an email from Garden Time and from Garden Gallery Ironworks. We want to thank everyone for entering to win this wonderful prize, and we want to invite everyone to come down to Garden Gallery Ironworks. They really have a wonderful selection for your home and garden.
Garden Time is brought to you by Portland Nursery, A passion for plants, a nursery for plant people.
At Portland Nursery, we believe that gardening is a creative endeavor that enriches our experience, enlivens the spaces around us, and provides a safe haven for the mind. Portland Nursery has everything you need to make your space feel unique, inviting, and exciting. From houseplants and hedges to trees, tools, veggies, and herbs, our selection is always growing and changing, just like you. Come visit us today at 50th and Stark, 90th and Division.
Professionals have grown with dram watering tools for over 80 years. Discover the quality of dram. Nurture your plants with a shower of rain. Select from 9 water patterns. Care for your lawn with quality that will last a lifetime. Dram, the professional's choice for lawn and garden. Thank you, Garden Time, for 17 years of the best garden tips and stories.
No matter what shade your green thumb is, you can find the plants and the help you need at Wavra Farms. We're filled with an astounding array of colorful plants to fill your garden. In addition to wonderful annuals and perennials, we are known for our hanging baskets. We also have all your garden essentials, and we have great garden gifts too. From beginner to expert, you'll find something new and different with every visit. Wavra Farms, located off Highway 22, Exit 5, east of Salem.
I'm down here at N&M Herb Nursery with Rosie. Rosie, we've talked a lot about pollinators, lately, and this is the place to come for pollinators. You have these amazing planters that are like for hummingbirds.
Yes, hi Ryan, and I just want to take a moment to thank you guys for supporting small businesses and helping us out, because we're in the boonies, and Garden Time has brought so many viewers over here to shop from our nursery, so thank you for that.
Well, we appreciate that, Rosie, and it's been a pleasure to be down here over the years. But we got some business to talk about here. We got to talk.
Yeah, so these are hummingbird buffets, and what we do is I generally put about 7 different plants that hummingbirds adore, and you can't go wrong with any of them. Most of these have salvias or cupias, and they will bloom from now until frost, and just so much entertainment.
Yeah, and as we're watching the hummingbirds buzz around them, they really are hummingbird maggots.
Yeah.
But not only do you have such amazing baskets and containers and the plants, but you're also doing a lot of herbs.
Yes.
It's been a while since we talked about some of the herbs. So let's start down on the end.
Well, we've grown this little beautiful thing for over 20 years. It's Kent Beauty oregano. It's an ornamental oregano. We love putting it at baskets because it has a draping habit. These flowers will get about, I'd say a good 1.5 inches across, with a lot of lavenders and pinks in them, and you can dry them. They do great, or you can use them as a garnish, to decorate a salad or to decorate a dessert, or drop it in a bowl of punch floating around. And it works not just in baskets, you can plant it in the garden around rock gardens. It's very hardy. Oregano likes to be dry, so in like a dry spot, full sun does really well.
And so, what is the difference between like a culinary, rosemary
oregano
and this one?
Okay, so this is ornamental. There's oreganos like Greek oregano, Italian oregano. They're just grown for the spice that they are, and this is more for show and ornamental.
But you can still use.
Oh yeah,
use it.
It has a mild flavor. Yes.
Then another herb that we all love, and especially now that it's warming up and we can finally get out and plant it and use it, is basil.
Yes, we got to talk about basil because summer starts tomorrow, and this year especially, this is a great time. If you haven't planted your basil yet, it's not too late.
No, because it likes the warm.
Yes, up till now it's been really tough. I have 8 varieties of basil out here, and that's one of the main questions that people always ask is, what's the difference? How do I know what works for me? So this particular is new. It's called emerald leaf. It does not bloom. So for leaf production, it's fantastic. You don't have to, because normally basil blooms, you have to pinch it, otherwise it goes bitter. Well, a couple of years ago, Proven Winners came out with Amazel basil. This can bloom and still not go bitter. Whereas like the Everleaf, you just keep picking it. And literally customers have told me that it grows like a you know, columnar, and you can almost come up and hug it.
Which
and it
smells
grows,
amazing.
Yeah, and then there's like Thai basil, lemon basil, and then again going to pollinators, the African blue basil is mostly grown for flower.
Oh, really?
Yes, for bees especially. And then now a lot of people use it in cocktails, and you know, it's still you can be used in a culinary dish, but that's kind of what it's used for.
Flavoring, do the flavors vary between the different types?
Just between like the lemon, and which is a lemon flavor, Thai basil. The other basils, I don't think there's much of a difference. And but I'm just like, you know, your good old Genovese basil. Everybody loves it. The Genovese has a little bit larger leaf, so it's great for like a sandwich. Whereas some of the other varieties are a little bit smaller leaf. Let's say for pesto or to freeze or something like that.
And so, you know, for care for basil, you know, you have, you know, a beautiful mixed pot, which looks pretty just like this. But somebody that's growing basil, and it's growing, how do they take care of it to make sure that the basil?
So absolutely fertilize it at least once every 2 weeks. That would be my best recommendation. Give it full sun, keep pruning it as needed. If you're trying to get or another way to say is keep using it, and then you'll have beautiful basil.
Right, because that's what you just pinch it, let it grow, and pinch
exactly.
it.
And then a lot of people use the blooms too for, you know, you're making a spaghetti sauce or something, just throw the blooms in there, throw them on a salad.
Gotcha. And then that'll keep your plant bushy and full.
Oh yes, yep.
So, you know, so aside from, you know, you have all of the hummingbird blooming plants, you have all of the herbs, all of the amazing baskets. You guys are getting still open.
Yes.
But not all summer long.
Right. We're open until July 5th. We're having our end of season sale going on until July 5th over here. And the rest of the season we will be at Beaverton Market, Milwaukee, and Vancouver Farmers Market.
So if you're ready to get out in your yard, enjoy the sunshine, you know, you need the color, you maybe procrastinate a little bit, haven't done it yet, there is still lots of time to enjoy your yard. Make sure you come down to see Rosie, see her staff, pick up a basket, pick up some plants, pick up some herbs, you know, feed the hummingbirds, and enjoy your patio and your garden. So
Thank
Rosie,
you, Ryan.
it's been a pleasure to be down here.
So
we always
sweet.
appreciate all the information.
Garden Time is brought to you by Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
Start your new Subaru story at Capital Subaru. We are like nothing else. From the moment you step through these doors, you see it, you feel it. We do things differently here. Our people, our culture, our customer experience. Tell us what you're looking for and we'll upgrade the way you shop for Subarus. When you're just browsing, need great service, or starting your next adventure, we're always here for you. It's your story at Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
Welcome to Blooming Junction, where it's easy to connect with nature. At Blooming Junction, you'll find beautiful, healthy plants, good, fresh food, and a place to regain peace and calm in your life. We have an unsurpassed collection of unique and distinctive plants and the expertise to help any gardener be successful. And we feature Blooming Advantage plants. Come check out Blooming Junction for an inspiring experience in the garden or in the kitchen. Blooming Junction, offering quality plants for beautiful gardens.
A destination farm and garden market featuring the very best each season has to offer. Smith Berry Barn offers seasonal farm fresh fruits and vegetables and specialty herbs and perennials. Visit the historic barn for distinctive gifts, gourmet foods, and homemade milkshakes. Right now we have fresh picked or pick your own berries ready in our fields. Here's what we have to offer this week. Centrally located off of Shoals Ferry Road between Sherwood and Hillsborough, Smith Berry Barn, growing good taste from the ground up.
We're down here at Oregon State University. I'm with Dana. Dana, today we are talking moles, voles, and gophers.
Awesome.
And there are, you were telling me a little earlier, I didn't realize there were so many different varieties of moles.
There are. We have here in the state of Oregon up to 4 different species of moles. In the Willamette Valley, though, we'll primarily be able to encounter the largest bodied species, which is the Townsends.
And then, there's differences between those, but between a vole and a mole, I think there's a lot of confusion as to what the difference between those
Oh,
two.
absolutely. Voles are the little guys that we see that frequently get called field mice. They work both on the surface and also below ground in little tunnels, and they eat vegetation, specifically herbs like grass and forbs, although they do get in trouble for chewing on young shrubs and the bark of young trees and things like that. Whereas our moles are actually hunters. They are tracking down earthworms primarily, grubs, slugs, beetle larvae, other, let's call them bugs, that are living in the soil. And so they burrow in order to find their prey.
Okay. And then what about gophers? I mean, I think of Caddyshack when I think of gophers. But,
Yeah, Caddyshack type gophers are also, so depending on the species, they're either eating a combination of plant material or seeds, and it also depends on the time of year what they'll be eating. And people often get the gopher hills and the mole hills mixed up. Because what you're seeing in each case is just a big explosion of dirt on the surface of your lawn, potentially.
right. And when you see those big mouths, can you kind of tell, from which critter down below is pushing that up?
You can if it's fresh, and that's really the key to it, is to get out there and look at it before your dog checks it out, or the kids, or rain and sun and things like that. In fresh soil that's been thrown out of the ground by one of these animals, you can tell by where they quit digging, there will be a little plug that actually starts to fall back into the hole. And if that plug is at the edge of what we'd call a fan of dirt, then that would be a gopher hole. And if the plug is right in the middle, I like to remember mole in the middle. If that plug's right in the middle of a more conical pile of dirt, that's a molehill.
Okay. And and a lot of times people plant bulbs in their yard and say, oh, the moles ate my bulbs. Are they actually down there eating bulbs, or they're
they might have a chomp or two at that. That's possible with the larger bodied species we have here in the Willamette Valley. It tends to be more of an incidental thing. They're burrowing along, going after those worms and keeping your grubs down, and then, oh, here's a nice fleshy plant fruit for me to chomp on, and then they'll keep going. But to the person who owns that bulb, it may not be so incidental.
But there are, we're talking some benefits of these. They're not always a horrible thing to have in your yard.
No, they aren't. They actually are performing an important ecosystem service that we don't even see below the surface. They're aerating the soil, they're moving nutrients down from the lower levels back up to our growing zone for our plants, and they're also aerating to help water infiltrate and soak through the soil.
So if we can tolerate them, it's not a bad thing. So
That's
if we,
right.
Maybe just to move the hill, is that the best way if we want to keep
We
them in?
can. If the hill is really causing a problem, either it's unsightly or it's fouling your equipment, you could just spread the dirt out. It'll bring some of that nice aerated fluffy soil to the surface and let it blend in.
Right. So there's so much information on moles, voles, and gophers that I had no idea there was that many around. Mostly we just see the mountains and the tunnels and get irritated, but there's definitely some benefits of having those.
There are some unsung benefits to those guys, yes.
So for more information on the moles, voles, and gophers, make sure you go to the Oregon State University Extension's website, or you can go to gardentime.tv and we'll click you over. So Dana, it's been a pleasure learning all about moles, voles, and gophers, and I know I have them in my yard. I might just rethink what I think about them.
All right, great, thank you.
The you have a leaning or broken fence? Fix a broken fence with ease. Made in Oregon, the sturdy fence post bracket can mend your drooping fence. Strong winds, falling debris, dry rot, and wayward drivers can all cause havoc on your once sturdy fence. Our sturdy bracket attaches to your existing fence and is easily installed in 30 minutes. Limit waste, materials, and save money by fixing your existing fence. Purchase online at sturdfence.com or visit participating Par Lumber and Pro Build stores.
Join Garden Time as we hit the road again. In September of 2022, we'll travel to Holland and Belgium. We'll visit the world-famous Aalsmeer flower auction, Flora World, the University Gardens of Ghent, and the Japanese Gardens of The Hague. We'll also visit the once-a-decade Floriade Expo, the World's Fair of Gardening. Enjoy the sights, sounds, and tastes of Ghent, The Hague, and Amsterdam on this wonderful tour. Go to Garden Time Tours for more information, and we'll see you in Europe.
At Sagawa Nursery, we always talk about taking your garden from ordinary to extraordinary. For us, that means bringing you the newest and best plants and unique garden items to you, our customer. For you, that means we'll help you transform your garden into something that's extraordinary. We also have some great gift items and even a few surprises for inside your home, too. Sagawa Nursery, growing beyond the ordinary.
I'm actually in a daylily field at Schreiner's Iris Gardens with Ben Schreiner. And so Ben, these aren't iris, so what's going on with these daylilies?
Yeah, these are daylilies. We got into daylilies about 4 years ago. We grew them back in the 50s and 60s and then stopped growing them, but we started again about 4 years ago.
And so these are very special because they're a special breeder in California that you work with.
Yeah, Bill Marriott is his name. He's a famous iris hybridizer, then moved to daylilies. And we take his new introductions, introduce them every year. So he breeds them down in San Jose area and then ships them up to us. We grow them out in the field and then we introduce them on the market.
And really, from just a couple years ago, how many varieties are you up to?
We grow around 500, 550. We list right now, I think it's between 350 and 400.
Wow, wow. He is a prolific breeder. That's great.
Definitely. He introduces about 15 to 16 new daylilies each year.
These are such healthy plants. They're all in full bud. So how do you grow them?
Yeah, so we do like field rotations with cover cropping, and then we fertilize every spring, and then for daylilies, for commercial, it's a lot of water. We apply a lot of water in the field.
And I could see that, and we also saw that they're being shipped, and those roots are so healthy and so robust. So really, these things are happy.
Definitely, and we send double fan or more to customers retail.
And so maybe you can kind of walk us through like how that all happens, because like you're going to get them in the mail bare root, and so how do we end up going to, and even if we have them at home, to divide them or move them, how can you help us?
Yeah, daylilies are interesting because you can dig and divide and plant basically from end of last frost all the way basically till first frost in the fall. So even when they're in full bloom, you can dig them up, divide them, and replant them.
Oh, okay. So maybe you can show us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. So Ben, this looks like a good one for a candidate to dig up.
Yeah, and like I was saying, you can dig up daylilies basically anytime, even in the middle of bloom if you want.
That's amazing. And so it'll maybe hurt these, but next year they'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what's the first step?
All right, so you just take your shovel or spade and you can kind of get pretty close to the daylily there. You just lift it out of the ground.
Okay. Well, that was nice and easy.
You shake all the dirt out, the roots.
Wow, those are some nice roots. Perfect.
So you can see the fans here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Wow.
And so when it comes to dividing, you can break them down into single fans or clumps. Okay. If you want a bigger clump in your yard faster, then you want to have multiple fans. And you can do it with your hand, you can do it with a knife or a spade, but you just kind of break them apart like this.
Oh, it's kind of a natural break then. You're not sacrificing anything.
Absolutely, yeah.
Beautiful.
So we just split this in half there.
Nice. And so let's go to if I got these mail from you, I ordered them. So they're going to look similar, but maybe not as much foliage?
Yeah, and so if you're planting them in your yard, you want to do the same thing. You just trim the foliage down.
Oh, nice and easy. You don't even need your trimmers.
Like so. And then you can also do the roots if you like. They're going to shoot new roots, so you can trim them down pretty short.
Okay.
So something like that.
Nice.
Pull off dead foliage.
Okay.
But this is basically what they look like when we ship them.
Wow, that's really robust. And then what do we want to do? Prepare a new space? Maybe, I know that we just dug it up now, but maybe you could just kind of show us.
Yeah, so you want to get the ground kind of worked in a little bit. They do like balanced fertilizers.
Okay.
So you could always apply like a 10-10-10 or even like a 20-20-20, something like that. Just work it in like that. And then in terms of planting, you can just plant them right about, you can see kind of where it turns white.
Sure.
Just plant them about that high, that depth right there.
Okay, so kind of shallow?
Yeah.
Well, you make it look so easy.
Just like that, and then you can just water them in. Just water them probably like once a week until they get established, 6 weeks or so, and that's basically it.
Wow, he makes it so easy. I know he's a professional, but I think daylilies are one of the easiest perennials for anyone's garden. So we can order now, you're starting to ship?
Yeah, we're shipping now through September.
Well really there's so many beautiful ones on the website for Shriners Iris Gardens, and check those out, and also check for the iris because they'll be shipping soon too. Thanks so much, Ben.
Thanks for having me.
For 90 years, Espoma has one guiding principle: develop the finest organic gardening products that work in harmony with nature, grow beautiful gardens, and make a greener world for the future. From our soil products to our plant foods, we have always been committed to the environment and sustainability. We use a vast array of natural and organic ingredients and package them in our 100% solar-powered plant. Look for the quality line of Espoma products at your local independent garden center. Espoma, organic from the beginning.
You can use water wisely this summer with these simple tips. Periodically, check your watering system to make sure it is working correctly. Tighten hose connections and adjust sprinklers to water plants and not the pavement. Give your lawn and garden a deep soak twice weekly instead of watering daily. Skip the fertilizer until the fall and mow your lawn less often. Taller grass holds moisture in longer between waterings. Get more water-wise gardening tips at regionalh2o.org.
Professionals have grown with Dram watering tools for over 80 years. Discover the quality of Dram. Nurture your plants with a shower of rain. Select from 9 water patterns. Care for your lawn with quality that will last a lifetime. Dram, the professional's choice for lawn and garden. Thank you, Garden Time, for 17 years of the best garden tips and stories.
Garland Nursery, a must-stop destination for those that want to play with plants and grow with their garden. Whether you are a new or a seasoned gardener, Garland Nursery can help fulfill your gardening desires and your landscape needs. From organic veggies, trees and shrubs to colorful blooms, from the newest trends in garden supplies and garden decor. Shop Garland Nursery to find that perfect plant or piece that fills you and your garden with delight. It's always a beautiful day at Garland Nursery.
I'm out here at the Stollard Family Estates. I'm with Jason. He's the Vice President of Vineyard Operations. And Jason, we're all looking, the spring has been kind of a tough, wet, cold, gray, and a lot of our crops are starting to show, they're behind.
Yeah.
And there's some things that we can kind of do, we're standing out in the field with the grapes to kind of, catch up a little bit or try to make sure we preserve as much time as we have.
Right now we're trying to harvest or getting ready to harvest as much heat and light that we can harvest this year. You said it was late. We're standing mid-mountain at Stoller Family Estate in our reserve Chardonnay block. You can see our experience center in the background by our grain silo. This was an area that was sort of preserved through the big frost event we had in April. Right. And so we have normal growth up here, and our goals up here are to make sure that we have the right amount of shoots per linear foot of vine row, that we're preparing this fruit for its bloom phase. So right now, shoot density is the main thing we're working on, and wire lifting to make sure these shoots are growing in an upright position.
So for the home gardener that's growing grapes at home, let's take these for an example. What do we need to be looking at as far as making sure we're getting enough light and can get our full crop?
Okay, so at this point, it is a late season here in Oregon, so it's likely that you may have too many shoots that have come out, or perhaps you got frosted earlier this season and you have a whole mess of shoots coming out. And what we do here is to make sure that we have no more than 2 shoots coming out of every spur prune position. You may have a similar looking spur prune arm cordon, they call this training system, but you may have this up on a fence or a high wire. It's important that you get that shoot density down in preparation to let as much heat and light in. I'm pulling leaves right now. It's probably not the time to be doing that since we're going to have some heat coming and we haven't gone through bloom yet, but I wanted to get in here and show you what we've done. We've gone from, let's say, 3 or 4 shoots came out of here. We've taken it back to 2. Or if only 2 come out, take it back to 1. Make sure you do all your suckering and get all these little unfruitful shoots out from around the head zone and really open this up, letting more heat and more light in on an already late season. It's important that you know that you're also growing next year's crop right now. And what triggers that is heat and light in these shoots that you'll either put down on the wire next year or cut down into these buds. That's where next year's fruit will come from.
Because it takes a lot of energy for this plant to continue the growth on all these shoots that you don't really need. So by removing those, then we're putting as much energy we can into what's remaining.
Right, the source and sink. The source is collected in the vine and in these leaves, and it's heading towards the fruit, which is the sink. And you want to make sure that you have the right amount of source material balancing out with the right amount of sink material, and too much can be tough in a year like this to get things ripe. This is the year to not be greedy with leaving a lot of fruit on the vine.
Right. So it's a good time to get our vines prepped and ready. The vines they're looking great. They're behind. But, not only do the vines look great, but your gardens are stunning. So we're going to take it down with Judy down and talk about the gardens down below. So
great.
Thank you, Ryan. Now I am with Corinne, and so Corinne, you are the head of the gardens here, of the corporate gardens. Well, really a gardener, and you really have done this stunning job. Just if we're looking at this beautiful wall of plants here, but you do more than that. So kind of explain about your whole philosophy about bringing other plants to this monoculture.
Well, I got this concept from an art installation that started in Seattle in 2008 called the Pollinator Pathway. It was an urban idea to bring flowering plants, trees and shrubs to areas that did not have anything but lawns. And it swept across the country and landed here in Oregon, Washington, after going to the East Coast and coming back. And what it does is it keeps and feeds the bees, the birds, and all the wildlife that feeds off of that biome on the land.
And I could see that's so important. Like you said, there are acres and acres of grape plants here.
Yeah.
And so that's only one plant, really, as a whole. So you've brought in all of this diversity that really is so pleasing to us, but really it does so much more to that, to all the wildlife.
Yeah, that's the point, is to have this natural, contextual beauty that flows from late winter, spring, summer, fall, and feeds all the insects that live here, and also allows all the birds. We see swallows swooping around and hummingbirds, and they're feeding off them as well.
And even to the iconic tire swing on the oak tree, and it's not mowed, but that is deliberate.
That is deliberate. So with the temperatures raising up year to year, 2 things are happening there. Grass cools the ground. It also allows for the mycorrhizal shield, which is the fungi that lives under the soil, to stay alive. The worms gather underneath there, crickets, every kind of element to help sustain that tree, because out in a field in the middle of grass, when it's mowed, it's considerably hotter. and especially with the heat domes, then if it's surrounded by a sea of cooling grasses. We also brought bulbs back in, so we have camas planted there, which is an indigenous bulb. We have all different kinds of alliums and tulips and daffodils. So in the spring, it's a real flash of color that's just delightful.
And it's just what we all want to do in our garden. So you're teaching us too. So thank you very much. And you know, if you talk to the servers here, you can get the handout about that. There's actually like a pathway that everybody can take. So get your glass of wine and walk around and enjoy all of the fruits of your labor and all the beauty. And we just thank you so much about that. And to talk about wine, Ryan is going to be talking with Melissa. So I'm going to hand this off to Ryan then. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judy. Now I'm back down here at the Experience Center. I'm with Melissa. Melissa, you're the Vice President of Winemaking, which is a very important job out here at Stoller. And you know, now the weather is getting nicer finally. And we're able to get outside. What is your picks for wine for us to be drinking this time of year?
Well, it's funny you should ask because I happen to have one of my top picks right here. This is our Pinot Noir Rosé. So this is all Pinot Noir that we grow specifically for making rosé, which is a white wine from red grapes in my mind. So this is what I love to celebrate the season with. It's actually fantastic all year round. But it's a wine that we make a substantial amount of. It's a really important part of our Stoller portfolio.
Right. And you know, rosés have been, you know, a lot of popularity in the last several years, but you guys have been doing it longer than that.
We have. We've been making rosé since 2005, and at that time we made just a very little bit of rosé for the tasting room, but it's been very fortunate because we had a lot of vintages to really fine-tune the process, and I think then we've settled on a rosé in a style that really works for our vineyard and the brand and our area. So.
Right, you know, and it's, you know, rosé all day in my book, but
yeah,
you know, I love a rosé because I love the cleanliness of it, and it's, you know, just a great wine for sitting around on a day like this.
Definitely, yeah, it's aromatic, it's bright, it's crisp, it's food friendly. Our rosé is very clean, it doesn't have any tannin to it, so it's refreshing. And yeah, rosé all day. We did it for a long time, and hopefully it's here to stay.
And it's one of just many wines that you have out here at Stoller, you know. So, you know, if you're looking for just that perfect wine, you want, you know, an amazing atmosphere to come out into the gardens. You know, we've appreciated coming out here all of these years and, you know, visiting with you and seeing the growth and seeing it there. So make sure you come out and experience this all for yourself. It's, you know, quite a special place to be out here at Stoller.
But I thank you for doing what you've been doing for so long and our relationship over the years, and just cheers to all the success going forward.
Thank you.
Find everything you need for summer at Al's Garden and Home.
If you're looking for the highest quality plants to take your garden to the next level, look no further than M&M Herb Nursery. Rosie and her staff grow huge, beautiful plants, including all your favorites. We also have some cool tropical plants that can transform your garden into a paradise. We have a large selection of pollinator plants, especially for hummingbirds, plus specialty perennials, baskets, pots, and yes, even herbs. Come see all of our great plants at M&M Herb Nursery in Hubbard.
Since 1929, Grimm's Fuel has powered great gardens around our area. With our comprehensive composting and yard debris services, we can apply quality garden mulch, compost, and blended soils with our experienced crews and trucks, including our landscape rock and bark products as well. We are proud of our industry-leading state-of-the-art composting facilities. We also can take care of your fuel oil and firewood needs. Grimm's Fuel, building great gardens since 1929.
Nestled in the oaks of the Willamette Valley is a nursery that is truly exceptional. At Out in the Garden Nursery, you will find a vast array of shade plants, ornamental grasses, and hardy perennials. Let us help you bring color and texture into your garden. We offer over 100 types of perennials. Many of our plants are evergreen for year-round interest. Plus, we offer the best in personal attention. Out in the Garden Nursery, where we grow great gardens one plant at a time.
Hey everybody, welcome to the backyard. This is our brand new space at Bauman's Farm and Garden that we created for families to come out and enjoy a nice time together. The animal barn is right nearby, the playground is here, and now we have this wonderful grassy area for you and your family to come out and enjoy. I'm trying to put the finishing touches on it because our grand opening is this Saturday, and I'm planting a few more flowers out here. And I wanted to show you some new plants for 2022. Some of them are just new to me, but I'm so excited about them, I wanted to share them with you. The first is this really cool perennial. It's called Spigelia Little Redhead. You'll see this a lot in the Midwest, you'll see it in the Northeast, but I've never seen it in the Northwest. I've been trying for over 2 years to get these cuttings, and this is a really super hardy perennial with this beautiful red flowers, with this yellow throat that comes out of it. It's just budded up. We have them available at the garden center, so I'm gonna pull some off the retail shelf. Don't tell my mom. And I wanna see what they're gonna do, how long they bloom. What a really cool, beautiful, long-lasting perennial. Limelight hydrangea has always been one of my very favorite pinnacle hydrangeas. They get those nice tall blossoms on it. This is a brand new variety this year called Limelight Prime. It's more compact, has really great flowers just like the old one, but in the fall, the color on it is going to be a much deeper pink kind of fruit punchy color, and I can't wait for people to come out to the pumpkin patch and see that blooming out here. Last but not least, we have some shade areas out here, and this is a brand new shrub called banana peel. It's in the anise family, so when you crunch the leaves, it almost smells like black licorice. Beautiful, looks great year-round, bright chartreusey foliage, which kind of brights up those shady areas, and it even has little red flowers on it. Last but not least, we want to say thank you to the Garden Time and the whole Garden Time family for all the last years that they've been filming and letting Bauman Farms be a part of it.
Over the years, Garden Time has visited many of the Walls projects. Well, I'm with another great project with the homeowner, Mike. And so Mike, this is really lovely. And so tell us a little bit about the inspiration to this design.
Well, my inspiration goes back some 50 years. I was over in Japan, and I was impressed in Japan by the rock gardens. And that they had gardens that were just rocks, and but it was the placement of the rocks and the feeling of that placement and walking around it and seeing it from different angles. So that had always stuck with me. And then the second inspiration was the idea that I wanted it to look very natural for the Northwest. So one of the thoughts was if you're in the wild, out in the forest and that, along a stream, you have the rocks on the bank because of the shape of our yard. You have the rocks on the bank going down to the water, and then you have the river bed below. So that's what I wanted to do, and then we got with Rick, and I worked with Jake and people to place all the rocks. That was our first thing we did before anything else, was we placed the rocks. And then he augmented it by putting in the different plants in different areas that we have, and as I told him, well, we'll see. We'll see where the plants go in a year, and
Sure.
which ones grow in right and which ones don't, and we'll go from there.
Well,
So-
it's always an ongoing project, and
Yeah.
so especially with plants, it kind of grows in. But the hardscaping is just really remarkable. So I think now we're going to talk to Rick and see how that all happened.
Great, great.
Now I'm with the owner of the wall. I'm with Rick, and Rick, this came out so nice. So
Thank you.
what did you do for Mike? How did that all work out?
Well, Mike and Barbara had a 40-year-old landscape, and it had just, over time it grows and it becomes a little unmanageable. And I like what you said, so we made the lace leaf maple a star.
That's gorgeous.
We took away all the plants, gave them a new driveway, new steps, new rockery type wall, and then the final landscape.
And I always love the work that you do because it's not just one texture. You use so many different elements, and it makes it so much more dimensional or more interesting.
Sure. Well, a lot of that is we have the talent to do a lot of different things with our crews. We've got the concrete and the stonework, and now the landscape crew that kind of tie it all together. And in our business, we are so lucky to work with natural products, stones and the different coloring in the concrete and things like that.
Yeah, and I love that the walkway that you have from the driveway, because it even made like a little sitting area to enjoy the garden.
That was kind of a bonus, I think. I don't even think that was in the plan, but that worked out really nice, yeah.
That is nice. And then about these steps.
Right, yeah, that was a lot of fun. Mike kept stressing throughout this design process natural, and he loved natural stone and rock, and as he referenced, a Japanese type garden. So we sourced these stone steps. They're 300-400 pound pieces of stone that we place as steps, and yeah, they're very nice, very beautiful.
And I think the customer service end of your business is that you listen to the homeowner.
We sure try, but it took 3 times for Mike to explain the rockery to me. Then I finally got it.
Well, it's something so unique. It's not just a wall,
right,
which you guys are great at. It's just more broken up, and it just makes it much more different.
Right. Yeah. Just a natural flowing. He wants natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, I think that this is wonderful projects. We all have projects at our house. So how do we find out more about your company?
Pretty easy, just give us a call or look at our website.
Rick, over the years we've seen many of your projects, and they're like large projects, small scale projects, so really you're all encompassing.
Oh sure, yeah, we do from a 1 to 2 day job to a 3-week, 4-week project.
Yeah, and so some of those fireplaces that I've seen, or just all kinds of different patios and retaining walls, really the gamut goes from smaller projects to really big ones.
It does, absolutely, yeah. There's no job too small or too large.
Yeah. Well, there are creative people at the wall, so if you have any projects at your house that you're dreaming of, please go to gardentime.tv. We'll click you over to their website, and maybe that dream can come true this summer. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching Garden Time.
We are so grateful that you have invited us into your homes for the past 17 years.
Thank you for your loyalty and your friendship.
Remember to keep checking out our Facebook page and our website at gardentime.tv for our podcast coming soon.
We thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you on the Garden Time podcast.
Cheers.
Join Garden Time as we hit the road again. In September of 2022, we'll travel to Holland and Belgium. We'll visit the world-famous Aalsmeer flower auction, Flora World, the University Gardens of Ghent, and the Japanese Gardens of The Hague. We'll also visit the once-a-decade Floriade Expo, the World's Fair of Gardening. Enjoy the sights, sounds, and tastes of Ghent, The Hague, and Amsterdam on this wonderful tour. Go to Garden Time Tours for more information, and we'll see you in Europe. The proceeding was a paid program of the Guston Creative Group and its sponsors.